Thank you. I open the Governance Advisory Committee on the 16th of June at 7 p.m. Councillor Hay, could you please read the prayer?
Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bestow your blessings upon this council and to direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of the city of Randwick and Australia. Amen.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and Gadjigal peoples who occupy the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick City Council, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders past and present and to the Aboriginal people in attendance today.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'll read the chairperson's announcement. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I advise that this meeting is being live streamed via Council's website and a person's image and or voice may be broadcast. The live stream recording will be published on Council's website for at least 12 months after the meeting or for the balance of Council's term, whichever is the longer of the period. Attendance at the meeting is taken as consent by a person to their image and a voice being live streamed. All present should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing any personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending this meeting. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be live streamed or recorded without the prior written consent of Council's individual acting in a disorderly manner can be asked by the chairperson to leave the meeting. Thank you. Before I go down the agenda and we get to the respective items, just for the benefit of those who are listening online and for the gallery, the Governance Advisory Committee is an opportunity for council staff under the revised Code of Meeting Practice to present on items and to brief councillors. The recommendations on the business paper are to read and note the recommendations. There is no substantive effect. It is just a vehicle to get council information in front of councillors and the public. There is no decision which is made in this forum, just so that the abundance of clarity for everyone which is there, it is just a vehicle to provide council information to members of the public and to councillors, just so there's no debate. There's no substantive decision being made in this forum. Thank you. All right. Do I have apologies or grantings of leaves of absence?
Apologies.
Thank you.
Councillor Hamilton.
Okay, thank you. Can I please have somebody move the apologies? Move Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Burst. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. There being no request to join by audio-visual link. Declarations of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest. Thank you. There being no declarations. Could I please have somebody confirm the minutes of the Governance Advisory Council Committee from the 12th of May? Move Councillor Rosenfeld, second Councillor Gordon. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Could I please have somebody move that GAC/13/26 special entertainment precincts, that the report be read and noted? Moved Councillor Gordon, seconded by Councillor Veach. Thank you. I will now throw to the Director of City Planning, and my first question to the Director is, could you please elaborate on your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this evening Stella Agagiardis, the Manager of Strategic Planning, will take you through some investigation work that her and her team have been doing with the Economic Development and Placemaking team over the last 6 months, investigating the development and implementation of the Special Entertainment or SEP program. Okay, and as has been indicated, we anticipate to bring you a report on the 30th of June, the council meeting, to make a decision on the next steps and where we're heading.
Thank you, Meryl. Councillors, Mr Mayor. Tonight's report will be an outline of the report coming to you at the June council meeting. It actually responds to a council resolution of April of last year, which sought a report on Randwick's nighttime economy, including suitable locations for a formal designation as a special entertainment precinct. The outline of this presentation will include what the purpose and content of a special entertainment precinct, an explanation of what it is, the analysis results that we've undertaken, including community engagement, the recommended approach and the risks and next steps for this work. The community engagement was undertaken in relation to 4 potential locations, and they are Kingsford, The Spot, Randwick Junction and Coogee. These locations were selected on the basis of the nighttime economy study, which was undertaken a couple of years ago, which indicated that these locations have a greater concentration of licensed venues and also access to infrastructure and public transport. So just outlining what is a SEP, just by way of background, Special Entertainment Precinct. It was created through the 24-Hour Commissioner's Office. It's supported by legislation and policy and guidelines. The intention of SEPs, Special Entertainment Precincts, is to support, protect and revitalise the evening economy by defining areas for live entertainment and cultural activity while managing impacts. A SEP provides certainty, it sets expectations and creates greater flexibility for businesses by managing sound at the precinct level, and that's an important point. It actually looks at acoustic analysis at that precinct level. The first SEP, you may have heard, was established in Enmore, on Enmore Road at Newtown by the Inner West Council. Now, a few years down the track, it operates to support existing and upcoming and new hospitality and entertainment, especially with the Enmore Theatre being its anchor. So since then, about 20 councils are now working towards SEP trials. The key components in preparing a SEP involve legislative, so there is a legislation behind this, as well as policy changes led by the 24-Hour Commissioner's Office. The key components of special entertainment precincts involve preparation of a precinct management plan, and this is a document that deals with the acoustics, the operating hours and compliance management, among other matters. Noise management is an important part of the component of the SEP. It operates at the precinct level through the preparation of acoustic study for the area. Liquor and gaming, during the trial, Liquor and Gaming New South Wales are responsible for compliance relating to entertainment noise, and Council remains the relevant authority to deal with noise issues relating to other premises, including noise from operations. Another key component of the SEPs is extended trading hours for live music and entertainment. In a SEP area, a council can set the maximum permitted trading hours for both licensed and unlicensed premises within the precinct management plan. Existing designated licensed premises, which are the entertainment venues that are located within an existing SEP area, can receive an additional 2 hours of trading if at least 45 minutes of performance is hosted, and this is under the guidelines and the policy. So if 45 minutes of performance is hosted at the venue after 8 p.m, an additional hour of trading is available. So this is an automatic under the precinct management plan. Precinct working groups are an important component of overseeing the development of a special entertainment precinct. The group, a precinct working group will be outlined, the membership and the operation and responsibilities of this group will be outlined in the report to Council. Under the SEP trial, 2 methods have been examined to determine the suitable locations for a special entertainment precinct. Broad community consultation was undertaken between 4th of February and 4th of March. That involved community, businesses and government agency notifications, And we also undertook the desktop analysis, which is the development of a matrix which assesses criteria. The criteria that was examined as part of the analysis included guidelines from the special entertainment precincts from the 24-hour Commissioner's Office that was used to score each of the 4 potential locations. This was considered best practice for assessing precincts and is what is recommended in the guidelines. The scoring was grouped based on the following matrix themes: precinct outcomes, for example, whether a special entertainment precinct could support high level of activation, investment, tourism and business growth. The second theme relates around strategic considerations, so whether or not there are existing policies, state and local strategies, what the current level of business activity is in an area, existing business collaborations, for example, the existence of a liquor accord, as well as public domain considerations. The other theme that we looked at, the final theme, which is centred around the existing and future planning context, and this includes transport access within a centre, the existing acoustic environment, the safety within centres, placemaking initiatives and the economic profile of the area. So the analysis and results. The online material that we prepared were included on the Your Say website. 14,500 flyers were distributed to areas surrounding the 4 centres, and targeted emails, about 58 to 60 targeted emails were also sent to stakeholders. 3 centres received strong community support for a SEP. Coogee had the highest level of engagement and as well as opposition. Concerns were raised generally across the precincts relating to potential for noise, traffic, amenity and safety, and they were raised at various levels. In relation to the desktop analysis, Kingsford scored the highest, followed by the Spot, Randwick Junction and Coogee. The desktop analysis indicated that all precincts are capable of supporting increased evening activity, and the desktop scores are generally close, with Kingsford scoring the highest. In total, 42 written submissions were received and 162 survey responses were completed, and an overall support rate of 68%. So the recommended approach. The council report will recommend a staged implementation of the SEP trials, commencing with Coogee and the Spot. Starting a SEP trial within these areas which have existing levels of activation and SEP trial provides an opportunity to continue and build upon existing activation within these environments. It will provide for a level of certainty and clarity by allowing council to better understand how the framework operates in an acoustically sensitive area, and to refine operational compliance as well as governance processes to ensure we have a balanced entertainment activity, while also considering surrounding residential amenity. So the lessons learnt from the first trial will be applied to subsequent areas. This approach also builds on successful council-led initiatives delivered in these areas to date. Considerations to be considered as part of the SEP in Coogee include its existing acoustic environment, proximity to residential development, the topography of the area, and given that the amplification of noise in certain locations can be high. Whilst Kingsford also is a strong performer in terms of the analysis, due to the presence of existing venues and excellent public transport compared to other precincts, the report will recommend Kingsford is deferred for a subsequent trial as this area is undergoing transition as well as redevelopment, and there is a need for targeted placemaking and further public domain improvements concurrent with rolling out a SEP trial. The next steps. So, councillors, as I mentioned, the report coming to council in June responds to the notice of motion. If council endorses the recommendation, there will be a need to address internal resourcing associated with delivering the SEP. And subject to this endorsement, council officers will also investigate grant funding through the 24-hour Commissioner's Office, and that will support actions such as the acoustic study and analysis that will need to be undertaken for the two precincts, as well as community engagement work and supporting the precinct working group. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, councillors. I'll go to council. There's a few. I'll go to councillors Hay, then Gordon, then Wellington, then Rosenfeld.
Mr. Kelly, can I ask you to go back one slide, please? Can I please ask regarding Kingsford? You said that there would be detailed targeted placemaking projects. Can you please go into some detail as to what those projects will be?
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Hay, that might be a discussion that we would have with the placemaking team because that is their area of expertise. So I think what I indicated was that, of course, the SEPs, special entertainment precincts, would be working in conjunction with existing activities and proposed activities that would be undertaken by the placemaking and economic development, of which what goes on down in Coogee and the spot, those events at the minute, also building on the existing activities that happen down in Kingsford, but over time we would hope that they would increase. But at this stage, I haven't got that answer for you.
Yep. A follow-up question from councillor Hay.
Can I ask that question then to the Director of Community, and through the Mayor to the Director of Community and Culture? What does the targeted placemaking for Kingsford look like?
Through to the Director of Community and Culture.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. It would, as the Director has mentioned, involve further consultation with the Chamber and businesses. However, could include things like late night trade outs, live music events, activations in the plaza, and those types of activities to bolster, just that we've seen in other areas as well.
Thank you. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, through Mr Mayor. Just regarding the Coogee Special Entertainment Precinct, I was wondering if there was any consideration of the Coogee Diggers Club being included as part of that area.
Thank you. Through to the Director of City Planning or the Manager, whichever.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Gordon, that we will consider that matter and we will cover that in the report to Council.
Thank you. I have councillors Wellington, then councillors Rosenfeld and Veach.
Thank you for your presentation. Obviously, there's some very exciting opportunities here for different parts of Randwick and for people who like to go out in the evenings and later at night. Can I just clarify and confirm, so that the two areas that you propose in the first instance are Coogee and the spot, is that right?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, yes, Coogee and the spot concurrently.
Yeah. Looking at your slides, it's interesting that Coogee seems to have a fairly significant level of people at Coogee. Said 37% said they thought it was unsuitable, and in the written submissions, which is, you know, it takes quite a lot of determination to make a written submission. 29 opposed at Coogee. Could you give us some sense, please, of what the opposition, what sort of feel was contained within these written submissions of opposition?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the concerns raised in Coogee, primarily are the noise-related concerns and the level of activity with increased people movement and activity in that area. Primarily that was really the noise and traffic and parking issues were raised.
A follow-up from councillor Wellington.
Just a follow-up. So I'm just interested in why, for the initial trial, Coogee was considered suitable over, for example, Randwick Junction, where there didn't seem to be a lot of opposition, and certainly does need some improved activity there in the evenings. I'm just wondering what led council officers to feel that Coogee would be, it would be met with open arms there when there'd been so much opposition.
Through to the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So Randwick Junction and Kingsford are undergoing redevelopment, so there will be more pressure on the pedestrian environment whilst development takes place. So over the next few years, it's likely that will be a number of major sites that will be redeveloped. In Kingsford, there are already a couple of larger sites which are under construction, and so the consideration is that those areas be deferred to a second stage. Coogee and the spot concurrently, the reason for that is that there is an existing level of activity in those two areas. There's council-led activations that have been carried out, and it meets the desktop criteria in terms of at the level of activity, the existing premises, existing business premises in that location, and primarily that was the reason.
Thank you, Director.
Sorry, excuse me, Mr Mayor, I'll just add to that. Also, Councillor Wellington, there are a number of those venues down there that the 24-hour Office of the 24-Hour Economy have already identified to be adding to that. So that's the Pavilion, the Coogee Bay Hotel, and I think it's the Legion Club. So we're really building on what is, I guess, already activity that is happening, and I guess this is, fostering what is already going on. I will just give you some comfort. I live within Cooee of the Enmore Road Special Entertainment Precinct, just off the precinct, and very rarely do I hear the activity after hours. It's sort of very much contained to the high street, which I'm assuming what will happen here as well. It'll be contained to Coogee Bay Road or areas of the spot.
One follow-up from Claire. Thank you.
It just as not related, obviously, to your presentation. The use of the language of precinct is a little confusing because we have community precincts committees, and then we have special entertainment precincts. While I understand that we are probably constrained by New South Wales government's rollout of special entertainment precinct activity, is there any way that we could avoid local confusion by calling it a special entertainment something else rather than a precinct? Before I know that the precinct committees are going to get confused.
Through to the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Wellington, if it gets endorsed next at the council, we will absolutely explore seeing if we can brand it something else, absolutely, and we'll work with the Director of Community Culture and the Manager of Comms to see what other term we could come up with. We'll give that a go.
Thank you. Sorry. There's a long line of, so Councillor Rosenfeld is next, then I have Councillor Veach, then I have Councillor Magna, then I will go to you, Councillor Martin. I didn't mix it up.
Thanks for your presentation. Is there a reason why Maroubra, whether it be Maroubra Junction, Maroubra Beach, weren't included in the possibility of any trials here, being like a very prominent part of our LGA?
To the manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Maroubra we haven't looked at it at this stage, but it is a possibility for future consideration. I know a number of councils are doing multiple, like quite a number of locations in their local government areas. There's no reason why we couldn't look at Maroubra Junction down the track. It's just that these 4 precincts were included in the audits we did a few years ago, which they had a level of nighttime activity. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Veach.
Yeah, thank you very much for this, and I do support introducing these precincts, but I guess following from questions from the other councillors, again, just asking about Kingsford, because you know, West Ward councillors, even since before I was on council, have been literally begging for support for Kingsford, and it's got the university there with, you know, tens of thousands of students and staff. We've got those amazing restaurants. It was really hit badly. Obviously, the light rail construction was very difficult, and then we had COVID. We had a lot of difficulties. And we do have sites coming online there now, and some of them are still just sitting vacant. You know, they haven't been leased out, and it's just a fairly unique area in that it's got, you know, it's like a mini Chinatown in the eastern suburbs, or Indonesian town, perhaps.
Point of order question.
Sorry, I'll get to the question. So I'm just wondering, and given all the sort of details listed here on page 2 about why it is suitable, why it could not be considered, because it could be, you know, there'll be developments happening there for a period of time to come, and it's still got so many reasons why we could be getting in there and supporting it, because we already give so much support to Coogee and the Spot. That's why they're doing very well, because council has supported it so well over the years. Sorry, I was talking a bit.
Look, very wide latitude as to a question. That's all right, though. To the relevant officer.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Veitch. Yes, it is a good point that you have made. Kingsford is, though, in a process of transition, you know, with all the development activity that is going on down there. We also haven't had an opportunity to start to work on the public domain. We're really just asking for 12 months. So we're saying that the Coogee and the Spot is a 12-month trial, right? What we'll do then, it's an area that is already established. We can get some lessons learned, and we can take those lessons and really make it happen down in Kingsford. All right, so really that was the intention. Let's start with an area areas that are already well established with events, with nightlife, with venues. Take what we learn and then put it into Kingsford. So really, and as I say, it's a period of 12 to 18 months before we would start that process.
And I might just add to that, to ensure the best success for an area like Kingsford, I think we do need to ensure that the environment is ready for a rollout of a special entertainment precinct. Given the level of activity taking place down there, I think we need to. It's probably a little bit premature, but I think we will get there. That's why we're recommending Coogee and the Spot initially.
As a follow-up from Councillor Veitch.
I do take what you're saying, but we also have a number of council resolutions, some going back a number of years now, specifically saying council will go and actually take these steps to work with the local stakeholders and the businesses and try and introduce some events and do some different things. And it just feels like none of those things have ever happened. And so this would seem like a good opportunity.
It's not a question, Councillor Veitch, but Councillor Magna.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'm really excited to see this come back before the council, and thank you for the work that you've done in researching this. We've got a number of, we've got an embarrassment of opportunities really in Randwick Council with the Spot and Kingsford and Coogee and Randwick Junction. My question is, have we looked at the experience that the Inner West, the incredible success that they've had with the establishment of the Enmore Road, and is it the case that they started with one precinct, initially Enmore Road, before, and established a pilot before commencing and proving the concept, doing all of the stakeholder consultation work? And if that is the case, is that an approach that you envisage that we might look to emulate here with the staged rollout? Secondly, and a more specific question, I understand the New South Wales Government's Special Entertainment Precinct Kickstart grant round. Applications were open. Did we apply for funding under that program? And if so, when do we know what the outcome is? And if we didn't, will there be further funding opportunities that we can explore?
Through to the relevant officer.
Okay, through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Magna. I'll start, then I'll pass over to Stella So the Inner West Council, you're absolutely correct. They did start with Enmore Road as a pilot. Now they were starting to move it out to, I think they're moving it out to Balmain and Roselle and a couple of other areas. So yes, yes, we're sort of following that model. Start small and then we grow bigger. In relation to funding, the Kickstart program, we didn't get everything ready to apply for funding because we needed a resolution of council. The funding closed, I think, in April, but we hope there'll be a third round which should be announced at the end of the year, but we have our fingers crossed that will happen.
The only thing I'm going to add is that we've been in constant contact with the 24-hour Commissioner's Office to understand the next announcement, which is probably likely to be towards the end of the year, and then we'll be ready for a grant application then. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Just a question around timing. I know you did touch on it. So if this was endorsed at the next meeting, how soon do you see this may kick off in Coogee?
Okay, through you, Mr.
To the Director.
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Martin.
Just roughly.
Within the next 6 months, based on some resourcing. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? There being no further questions, I now move that the report be read and noted. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We now move to the supplementary business paper GAC/14/26, Visitor Pay Parking Community Consultation Outcomes and Revised Proposal. Just for the benefit of all of those listening once again, this Governance Advisory Committee has no delegated decision-making power, so there is no decision to be made tonight, just to be crystal clear. Thank you. To move the report is read and noted. Move Councillor Gordon, seconded by Councillor Magna. Could I please now ask the first question to the Manager of Communications? Could you please elaborate on your report? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Hope you're all well. The purpose of this presentation tonight is to outline to you the outcomes of the community consultation that council's undertaken on the visitor pay parking proposal. We'll do it in two parts tonight. The first part I'll take you through the consultation outcomes, the resident survey, the telephone survey, the visitor survey, people movement data and submissions. I'll hand over to my colleague Eva Haverstein to take you through the second part, which is a revised proposal that council has developed, which responds specifically to the feedback that we've received from the community throughout the consultation process. And that includes free resident parking permits, a reduction in the locations, and the recommendation that we'll propose to put to the 30th of June council meeting. So just a reminder, the council resolutions that led to this point, in November, councillors, you resolved to investigate some options to relieve parking pressures. Council staff then did some investigations and brought a report back to you in February 2026. Considering a range of options for your consideration, councillors at that meeting endorsed option 2, which was to seek community feedback on the introduction of visitor pay parking at beachside areas with exemptions for local residents. And as per our community consultation process, our community consultation strategy, we then put that on exhibition for 6 weeks. So just a brief snapshot of the consultation that we did, councillors, and you'll be familiar with this. It was an extensive consultation over a 6-week period, so it's a longer period under our strategy. It included a mail out to every residential property in Randwick City. That's over 53,000. We also did some emails out to the community as well, to our database. We also did some emails out to our...
Yeah. Just to the manager, can I just remind the public gallery that you're not allowed to take photographs? This is publicly available. I believe this is being live streamed and it is publicly recorded. So you're just not allowed to take photographs.
Is it on the website?
Yeah. Yes. Look, members of the public are also have to be silent when watching, but for the benefit of the gallery, yes, it is. There is absolutely no need any further taking of videos or anything like that. You'll actually be asked to leave. Please continue, Councillor. Sorry, Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We emailed 71,000 people on Council's database. We held 2 drop-in sessions. The content was also put on Council's Your Say Randwick website, and we did a whole range of community engagement from social media posts, videos. Council staff attended 8 community meetings, including local precinct meetings. Content was translated into multiple languages, and we held 2 drop-in sessions, one at Coogee and one at Maroubra Beach. This slide just provides an overview of the different consultation techniques that we used and the findings of each of them. The next part of the presentation, I'll go into a little more detail on each of them to give you some background. The report that will come back to Council on the 30th of June will contain the full consultation reports as well, which will have even more information. The resident survey, we received 11,500 participants, which is the largest single survey that we've conducted in Council's history. The results of that were 55% were in support, 40% were opposed. That includes both the online responses that we received, but also the reply paid post surveys that we received. We also conducted a telephone survey. The difference between the resident survey and the telephone survey is the resident survey is an opt-in survey. The telephone survey is random, it's representative, and it's weighted for the demographics of the area. So we often do both because it provides a good sense check, because with an open-ended survey you tend to get people opting in, right, who have more extreme views, either supportive or opposed. The telephone survey gives you a more balanced view of the whole community. That came back at 64% support from a 600 base. We also did a survey of people at the beach, so we actually stopped people at Coogee, Maroubra and La Perouse beaches and asked them some questions about visitor pay parking. I'll go through some of the findings, but you know, a great love for our beaches, the fact that they're safe and they're convenient and they're close were the main findings there. We also did some beach visitor origin data analysis. So this looks at mobile phone data and where people move and where people come from who are frequenting our beaches. And this found that over summer, over a 3-year period, users of our beach were mostly from outside of the Randwick LGA. We also accepted submissions as well during the process. So we received 141 submissions and a substantial opposition to the proposal from those submissions. Okay. So the way I've structured this next part, because there's some use in comparing both the resident survey, which has been done by a company called Web Survey, so that's both the paper and the online survey, and the telephone survey done by Taverner. So I've gone through and structured this as the red is the graphs of the resident survey, and green are the Taverner telephone survey. Just to make a note that of the 11,500 responses we received, 7,000 of them were online, 3,500 were paper. So we've got a significant number of online surveys there. If we think back to 2021 when we did the environmental levy one, it was 50-50. So there's a shift, there's an increasing shift there to online responses. So I'll take you through some of the questions, councillors, to give you an idea. The first question in the survey, and this was the main question that we asked on a support level. So the question was of a scale of 0 to 10, so an 11-point scale. How supportive are you of introducing paid visitor parking at the beachside locations at Clovelly, Coogee, La Perouse, Little Bay, Malabar, Maroubra and Yarra Bay, with residents of the Randwick LGA being exempt? So with the graph on the left, the web survey one found 54% support. The telephone survey found 64% support. Just to clarify, this is a scale of 0 to 10. So supportives have been classified as 6 to 10, neutrals are 5s, and unsupportives have been classified as 0s to 4s. Okay. We then broke that down. So here's the breakdown showing the charts by what each respondent's provided. I know it's probably a little hard to read from there, but that goes from 0 to 10. and you can see there is a split. So while there's a majority in support, there's also a sizable group of people who are opposed to the project. We also looked at the responses from people outside of the Randwick LGA in the online survey. And perhaps unsurprisingly, there's a significant opposition to the proposal from people who live outside of the Randwick LGA, who obviously will be subject to paying for parking at beachside areas. We also broke down the responses to the survey by where the suburb that people live in, and there is a statistical difference in the results. So there is some suburbs which are statistically more supportive than the average, and suburbs that are statistically less supportive. So suburbs of Chifley, Kensington, Little Bay and Randwick, those residents are marginally more supportive than the average. And the suburbs of Clovelly, La Perouse and Malabar are slightly less supportive, with La Perouse being probably significantly less supportive overall than average respondents. The sorts of things people told us, this was a free text question, so the next question in the survey was, okay, based on what you've said, why did you say that? So this was a free text analysis. So of those who support the proposal, the top themes that people mentioned were around fairness and around cost sharing, a belief that the proposal would help reduce congestion and increase the availability of parking for residents, and that they were happy with the permits provided. And also the consistency come up that Randwick is one of the last remaining coastal areas that doesn't have pay parking. This was fairly consistent with the telephone survey, which, a bit of an eyesight test here, but also come up with the fair user pays support principle and the idea that visitors should also contribute to those beach costs. So the same sort of themes come through in both surveys. So those people who are opposed to it, so these people who voted in the survey 4 and below, 4 to 0, the top themes that people opposed the project were on a principle that beaches should remain free and accessible. So this was an overriding principle of those against it, that a belief that beaches should be open and that this proposal may affect that. People also mentioned cost of living pressures, that people are already paying, whether it's rates or other things, concern about revenue raising as well. The second question on the survey asked about how important it is that if the project does proceed, that residents of Randwick City Council are exempt from the parking meters. Perhaps unsurprisingly, there was significant support for this, so over 90% support in both surveys. Question 3 was around if people support households being eligible for a parking permit. So a majority, 60%, were supportive of this. Some of the when we asked why they said that, some of the feedback was a little mixed. So some people, if you look at this, some people who said that they were against it, they weren't supportive of a parking permit. The reason they weren't supportive because they wanted more parking permits, right? While others who weren't supportive of it were opposed on principle. So there was a little bit of a mixed bag there on that question. For the telephone survey, we didn't ask that question. We changed it slightly to be more specific about saying, right, if it does proceed, like exactly how many parking permits, free parking permits, would each household want? And the results were 43% wanted 2, 31% wanted 3. So strong support for at least 2 or 3 free parking permits per household in Randwick City. Question 5, we asked if people would be interested in having additional parking permits. So this is something that other councils do who have paid parking. They offer the ability for residents who are affected in those areas to get additional permits, whether it be for carers or tradies or visitors. The general feedback here through both surveys was support for it. So most residents, if they're going to be affected, wanted permits for this area. I would just note here that when Eva presents, we are considering changing this and not having the parking meters affecting residential or business areas, which makes the need for these permits no longer needed if that does proceed. Question 6, we asked people about if they had any ideas where the money that is raised through the meters should be spent, and if they thought it should be somewhere different to where council proposed, which was coastal improvements, sustainable transport, active transport, and beach services. Most people came back and basically said similar things to what council had already suggested. So a strong focus on maintaining beaches, surf clubs, local coastal areas, parks and green areas, and addressing parking issues too. And the issue of active transport did come up as well, so bicycle lanes too. Question 7 was a principal question where we asked some questions around how strongly people support various statements. So one of the questions was everyone who goes to the beach should contribute equitably to the cost of providing beach services. So for that one, we had about 60 to 70% support for that. Most of these questions had support. So people believed in general that people would still go to the beach even if they had to pay. They thought there may be a slight shift to other forms of transport, such as public transport, ride sharing and cycling. They did think in general would encourage turnover. But there was mixed views on whether it will be good for business or not. Some 30%, 35% apologies were unsure, and only 24% strongly agreed or somewhat agreed that it will be good for business. Question 8 was around ease of parking. So what impact do you think introducing paid visitor parking will have on residents being able to park at the beach? And only 1 in 5 thought it would be harder to park at the beach. Everybody else thought it would be either easier or about the same. And that was similar in this telephone survey as well. In fact, probably more supportive in that people were more supportive of the idea that it would make it easier for residents to park at the beach. So that's the telephone survey, that's the resident survey. This, I'll just take you through very quickly, is the visitor survey that we did. So this was an in-person survey, so we stopped 100 people at Coogee Beach, Maroubra Beach, La Perouse Beach, and we asked them, are they visitors? And this was specifically to understand visitor attitudes, because the resident survey, although we did get some responses from non-residents, it was targeted at residents. So this was a consultation technique to understand the attitudes of visitors specifically. It was undertaken by Taverner Research over three days, an error margin of 5.6%. Again, what was interesting here is when they stopped people, 71% of the people that they stopped were visitors. And a higher percentage of visitors were found at La Perouse compared to Maroubra. In terms of the transport that they use, the vast majority of people at La Perouse are using, unsurprisingly, cars to get to that location. At Coogee and Maroubra, there is a higher usage of buses. Obviously, it's better supported by public transport, and there's some other usage there, which would be cars and line bikes. This is quite interesting, we asked people why they come to this beach. There's lots of beaches in Sydney, why'd you choose this one? Top 3 reasons are love the beach, safe for swimming, and it's close to family and friends. And the 4th reason being free parking. So I think that tells a story about the quality of our beaches and how attractive they are for our residents, but also for people all over Sydney. We asked visitors if they had to pay to park, and we picked a figure. We just picked a figure of $5 for the purpose of the survey. How likely would they be to visit the beach in the future? 60% said they would not be likely to visit again. 37% said they'd be very or quite likely to visit again. So some resistance there to paying, unsurprisingly. When we looked then at the data, so 37% said only 37% said they were quite likely or very likely to visit. That figure is much higher at Coogee compared to Maroubra and La Perouse, and it rises from 37 to 55% if people have paid for parking previously in summer. right? And it drops to 27% if they haven't. So it just suggests the fact that people do get used to this, and people do get used to paying, and it's unlikely to be a deterrent overall to visiting beaches. We asked people, would they look at using different transport if they had to pay for parking? Most people no, but 23%, which is a significant number of people, said they would consider using an alternative transport method, which if we could achieve a 23% support, even a 10% modal shift is really significant. Okay, people movement data. So we engaged a company called VLC, and they use mobile phone data that's depersonalised, and it's aggregated over periods of time. So you can go back 5 years and you can aggregate that data. So what we asked them to do was geofence all of our beaches and then look over the last 3 summers who used those beaches and where they came from, where they originated from. So what this graph here shows you is the median distance that people travel to go to our beaches. So Frenchman's Bay being one of the distances people travelled the most to. So those rings represent median travel distances. So with 50% of people being from within those rings, and remember 50% being from outside those rings, so travelling even further than that to come to our beaches. I'll just show you some quick slides. These will all be in the report to council for every single beach. But some of the data is really interesting. So Coogee Beach, for example, is one of the beaches that's got a higher local visitation, but still has 57% visitation from outside the area. The red shows the geofenced area, and the blue shows the travel patterns. So this graph is quite interesting because it shows both the paths they got there via presumably bus or cars, but it also suggests a lot of people are going to Coogee walking as well along the coastal walkway. Either they're parking south or they're parking north, or they're walking there via the coastal walkway. Frenchman's Bay in the south is one of our beaches that has the highest rate of visitations, with 84% of people coming from outside of the area. This has a very high weekend visitation rate. You can see the travel paths there quite clearly along Foreshore Road and down Anzac Parade. What's interesting though is you can see people have also made efforts to go to other beaches. So whether it's Little Bay Beach or whether it's Kongwong Beach, so people are beach hopping here trying to find parking and trying to get to a beach. Kongwong is similar. This has a very high visitation, people from the City of Sydney area, so you can see them travelling down Anzac Parade and others from Foreshore. So, councillors and Mr Mayor, in summary, before I hand over to my colleague, the surveys were really robust. They were extensive. The work done was in line with our community engagement strategy. They show a majority in support, but noting there is strong opposition from sections of the community. The major feedback we're hearing is people want more than one free parking permit. That's really clear. There's also concern about impacts on adjacent residential streets to areas where parking meters may go. So residents want us to do something about that. There's also concerns about impacts on businesses and community organisations at beaches. So residents want something done on that as well. Okay, I hand over to Eva.
Thank you, Manager. To the Manager of Engineering Services. Thank you.
Thank you. So in response to the community feedback that's been received, a revised proposal has been developed that limits the proposed areas for paid parking to council car parks, and also to locations that are not immediately adjoining residential properties with a nominal 4-hour time restriction. The refined proposal also seeks to provide additional permits for eligible Randwick households, subject to proof of residence and vehicle ownership. It also seeks to retain some areas of unrestricted parking for visitors near beaches, and also retain some short-term parking to support businesses. The revised proposal also allows for seasonal adjustments, including reduced hourly fees in winter, provides exemptions during NIPA sessions, as well as approved functions at surf lifesaving clubs and the Prince Henry Centre. And it also considers protection of parking in residential streets adjacent to the revised proposed visitor pay parking areas. So just the next few slides, we've got a series of location maps that give a detail, basically indicating in the orange what was the original proposed areas that was included in the community consultation process. And in the blue, we're just showing the areas that have been identified as part of the refined proposal that I've just spoken through. So first up, we have Clovelly. And I'll also just mention all of these maps is provided in the handouts and also will be included in the council report that will be coming. Coogee, Maroubra, Malabar, Little Bay, La Perouse, and finally Yarra Bay, which we've actually excluded from the revised proposal. So next we just have a summary of some further financial modelling that's been undertaken on the revised proposal. So basically what we're showing here is, so under the original consultation proposal, there was approximately over 3,300 metered spaces that were basically included in the areas that we just stepped through that were shown in the maps in orange. Under the refined proposal, we're looking at approximately 1,400 metered spaces. So then what we've done is looked at 3 different scenarios for the refined model. Firstly, where 1 resident exemption permit per eligible household is provided. Secondly, 3 resident exemption permits per eligible household. And then finally, the third scenario modelled was an expanded unlimited number of exemption permits where proof of residence and vehicle ownership can be provided. So based on the utilisation and exemption assumptions that have been informed by the visitor data that was shown in the earlier slide, the indicative potential funding opportunities due to visitor parking fees and also potential compliance-related revenue is outlined for each of the scenarios there, and it ranges from approximately $3 million per annum under scenario 3 up to in excess of potentially 3.7 million for scenario 1 with the 1 exemption permit per household. So finally, as I've mentioned before, a report will be provided to the 30 June council meeting for consideration. That will include the full community consultation outcome report, along with a recommendation to implement the refined pay parking proposal with approximately 1,400 metered car spaces. Thank you. That was our final slide.
Thank you. Do I have any questions from councillors? Councillor Gordon.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Eva, thank you for presenting this revised proposal to us. It would be good to get this revised proposal out there to the residents. So is your team considering that?
Thank you. Through to the relevant officer.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Gordon, all of this information will be made public with the pending council business paper for June. So, yeah, most definitely it'll be made available.
Thank you. Councillor Rosenfeld.
Yeah, I've got a few questions. Just to Josh, with regards to the survey and the resident survey, are you saying that if someone put a 5 there, 5 out of 10, they were put in as yes in the 55% column?
Through to the Manager of Communications.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. No, a 5 out of 10 is neutral. Yep, so just to clarify, 5 out of 10 is neutral, 6 to 10 is support, a level of support, 0 to 4 is opposed. Yep.
Thank you.
Is there a particular reason why in the survey we didn't just basically say yes or no? Because I think the feedback everyone's getting is that it seemed to be a bit misleading, like the 0 to 10, and people put in basically a 6, and all of a sudden they're in favour of it type of thing.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Rosenfeld. So the survey provided the opportunity for people to express their view. So people who were completely supportive could provide a 10. People who were completely opposed could provide a 0, and you can see that in the data. Best practice community consultation is to give people the opportunity to express what their views are. The trouble with forcing people to vote completely yes or completely no is you box them into holistically either agreeing or disagreeing with a proposition, where in reality people might agree with some parts of the proposition but not agree with other parts of the proposition. So what you'll probably see with people who gave a level of support, like a 6, 7, 8 or 9, they have some level of support, but they might have an issue they might want to change in that. So best practice community engagement is not to box people into a corner, but to give them the ability to express how they feel.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Rosenfeld.
Yeah, further follow-up. It's coming to the June council meeting. Are you going to give us a cost per hour that people have to pay? Because obviously different councils have different costs per hour. We do have some existing partnerships that could be, but...
Sorry, through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, that's in your budget. So we've already got that in the budget for you. Yeah. So when you adopt the budget, the first item, then the second item will be this particular one.
Thank you.
Now, I've got one other follow-up. We've finally seen some maps on the initial proposal, but I don't understand those maps were put in the initial consultation. Is there a reason why? Because again, a lot of angst there. We don't know where they're going. Is there a reason why those maps weren't put in the initial consultation?
Through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Smith. Those maps were in the initial consultation that you adopted at council. So we had the GAC meeting where we went through it. No. We had a GAC meeting, and then there's other information we provided.
Sorry. Thank you, councillors, and to members of the public. Members of the public are afforded to watch. They're not afforded to participate in relation to the matter. Are there any further questions? Any further questions? I'll go to Councillor Burst, and then I had a hand up from Councillor. I'll go to Burst, Said, and then Hay.
I've actually got a few questions, so if you could indulge me tonight. Firstly, before I left for council tonight, I looked at my councillor oath. Best interests in the people of the City of Randwick City Council. So I'm assuming that it's important for me to look at doing what's best in my ability and my judgment. I'm here to represent the people of Randwick.
Could you please outline your question, Councillor Burst?
My question, all right, I'll go straight to the question if we want to. All right. My question is to the relevant officer, the Mayor. We've had an independent survey assessment was conducted by a group called No Parking Meters, and it's quite a substantive document by some fairly high-level accredited QPR accredited people that do surveys. And so my question is, have we afforded in council deliberations, can the Mayor advise that specific steps the council has taken or plans to take to formally engage with the findings of the assessment and address the serious concerns it raises about the survey's integrity?
Thank you. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, sorry.
So, Councillor Burst, you have to sit down. So the General Manager is attempting to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, I've received that particular survey. We consider that a submission. We'll address that particular survey in the council report that comes back, like we do for all other surveys and all other submissions.
Thank you. Councillor Burst.
And some follow-up questions. Firstly, to the survey, page 6, submissions 9% through the chair to the relevant officer. So that'll probably be the manager of communications.
So, Councillor Burst, just under the code of meeting practice, you refer your questions through to the chair, and then they get directed
Through
from
to
the chair.
Submissions 9% supportive, 82% opposed. Do we have a breakdown of the time frame that those submissions were made within the 6-week period? Were they made in the first week, the second week, the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, or the 6th week?
To the relevant officer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, we don't.
Thank you.
Another follow-up question. And we've gone, like we have a 0 to 10. So why don't we just have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What made someone decide 0 to 10 was a magical number for people doing a survey? Like I was absolutely confused. I had no idea whether a 0 meant I was against it, whether a 2 meant I was against it, whether a 5 meant I was for it. So the question is, why don't we have clarity? There certainly wasn't clarity in that 0 to 10.
Sorry, thank you, manager of. Thank you. Look, two members of the gallery. So under the code of meeting practice, the meeting needs to be conducted in silence. You're also not to be wearing labelled T-shirts. However, I have let it go in relation to this under the particular code. There is also a prohibition in relation to flags. Councillor, through to the manager of, through to the Director of City Services. Before I do that, I'd just like to warn you, any further interjections, I do have the ability to empty the gallery. I don't have the intention to do it because I'm enthused that you're all going to be well behaved. To the Director, thank you.
Thank
Director.
you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor. Councillor Burst, as with all consultation exercises that council officers embark on, monthly and bring reports back to council, the 1 to 10 sliding scale is a common factor that comes back to council on many occasions, and I would say council officers most definitely set out to give council the best information they can and spread the results across as far a demographic as they can to give you all the ability to make an educated decision. But the 1 to 10 comes to council very frequently.
Councillor Burst.
And another follow-up question. Page 34, which is the medium distance travelled. We've got here 70% travelling more than 10 kilometres, 40% travelling more than 25 kilometres, and 10% travelling more than 50 kilometres. So we're now at 120% of travellers. So is there a typo there? Someone could just explain that to me. Through to the relevant officer, through the chair.
Thank you. To the manager of communications.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you to the councillor. So those figures are inclusive, so they compound. So 70% of people are travelling more than 10 kilometres, and then of that, 40% are travelling more than 25 kilometres. So they include each percentage. Those full figures, that's just a quick summary for Frenchman's Bay, will be included in the report on the 30th of June.
Thank you. Councillor Burst, any follow-up? Can I just ask how many follow-ups you have?
About 3.
Okay, if there are 3, then I'll allow you to continue. Otherwise, I'll afford other councillors the ability to ask questions.
Do we enforce compliance of existing parking timeframes that presently exist at our beaches?
Thank you. Through to the relevant officer. Ms. Councillor Burst, could you please sit down? Thank you.
Thank you. Through yourself, Mr Mayor, yes.
All right. On the at the end of this document, we talk about revenue and financial modelling. As per page 49, there's some sub-questions here because it's a very detailed information we're looking for, and being such an important issue that will affect this community for a generation or more, I think it's important that we get down to the detail here. So the modelling on page 49, what assumptions are all this revenue based on? Is it based on we'll have 80% of people using the parking meters, or using them on a Saturday or a Friday, or in the days of operation and the hours of operation, the summer rates and winter rates? It's a lot of detailed, complex information, and it's all very indicative. So I think it's important to understand how that assumption is made through the relevant officer.
Through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, that'll be in the council report.
Thank you.
Modelling the table on page 49, do we have the gross revenue we are going to get from this scheme? Because obviously there's third-party expenses to overseas foreign nationals and other things. So that's my first question. Do we have a gross revenue from parking meters, from revenue, from the indicative compliance-related revenue?
Sorry, Councillor Burst, just before I throw it, could you just clarify your comment in relation to overseas foreign nationals? Could you just restate the question?
I'm talking about who are we managing the third-party activities of these parking meters?
Okay, thank you. Through to the General Manager. Or to the relevant officer. Yeah, to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, Councillor, we have all those, we have the gross numbers, we have how much it's going to cost for the actual parking meters. At some stage, we will need to, should the council proceed, go to tender for who would be the company that may supply the parking meters, and that'll be a decision that comes back to council.
Thank you. That all, Councillor Burst, noting you've asked several questions?
Just one more. So just we've got indicative and actually indicative compliance-related revenue. That means we're talking about parking fines, people that have overstayed their time frame. So is that correct?
Through to the General Manager, or to yep.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So, Councillor Burst, final question. I just note you've had several in a row, and there are 14 other councillors, or 13 other councillors present.
So that compliance-related revenue, that would happen whether it was parking meters or not?
Through to the General Manager.
No.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. I then have I have a hand up, sorry, from Councillor Said, then Councillors Hay, Councillor Luxford, then I'll go to Councillor D'Souza.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My questions were very similar to Councillor Burst, but I take it, and now I'll ask a sort of leeway into another question. I take it that this is not the final report. There's obviously more information coming by the council, by the General Manager's answers, and I would ask him just to confirm it. There's a lot more information coming to the council meeting other than just this report.
To the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, as you have had a couple of GAC meetings and the presentations, we provide you with the information in the GAC meeting. The subsequent council report has a lot more information, such as there'll be all the consultation reports, the full consultation reports, not just where we put particular graphs out there. There'll be the data that we have, the assumptions we made regarding the financials for that. So all those will be in the council report, like you would normally get for any other report when we present to you. Just like the special education precincts, there'll be more in that comes to council than the presentation you've got tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Said.
Just follow on. That was going to be one of my other questions. Will we get to read the submissions, etc.? So obviously we are. So it is happening the same way.
Yep. To the General Manager.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, based on that, I'll try and get all this information sent out in the next couple of days. So not just the councillors get it, so the community can get it. We'll put it on our website, so all this information's there, so the community can come and talk to you, and so you can raise questions in the council meeting.
Thank you.
And just one final question through you, Mr Mayor, to the communications officer. This is the first time a proposal and a recommendation has come to council, to us tonight. There's never been another proposal or recommendation?
Through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We put some options to the councillors back in February. The councillors then asked us to go and do community consultation, and from that community consultation, the council officers have revised and now bringing to you our professional opinion, what we think how you should move forward, and it's a matter for the councillors on the 30th of June.
The only reason why I asked that question is because there was an inference on a radio interview that were at our last ordinary council meeting that we were voting on this that night, and people were asking me how I voted, and I said it was never coming to that council meeting. So unfortunately, a whole lot of people, including the people that are here tonight and probably listening, were very well misinformed. Thank you.
I have a question from Councillor Hay.
Thank you. Several questions, you'll be pleased to know. Mr. Hay, Manager of Communications. On page 7 of my slides, you talk about the telephone survey. You mentioned that is a weighted survey. So for those of you not familiar, that means there's, for example, only 26 people aged 18 to 34 who responded, and that's only 4%. So what they say would have counted more. So based on that, why did the survey get so few of that demographic? And well, just quickly, firstly, why did we get so few of that demographic? Was this only landlines, or was it mobiles as well?
Through to the Manager of Communications.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So with demographically weighted telephone surveys, what the survey companies do is they'll reach out to households and they'll seek to interview people in those age ranges. So they'll do their best to get a broad representation. Where they can't get that split, because people who respond to surveys tend to be of a particular demographic, they'll then weight the data. So for younger people who might be harder to reach in those areas, they'll then weight that data to get a representative split.
Thank you. So did we attempt to weight other data? And so for the rest of your presentation, is that weighted data or raw data that we're looking at?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the telephone survey, all the data represented is weighted data by age and gender.
Yes, but for the resident survey, is that raw? Are we looking at raw data or weighted data?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the resident survey, there's no weighting. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Havenstein, regarding the map that was shown regarding Coogee, I noticed that you've excluded, we have existing parking lots to the east of Coogee Oval and to the south, north, south of the Coogee Pavilion. We have existing parking meter spaces. Are those spaces, will the resident parking permits apply to those spaces, or will it only apply to the new spaces that we are adding?
Through to the relevant officer.
Sorry, through yourself, Mr. Mayor, we've sought in the proposal to retain the existing conditions of those two car parks at Dolphin Street and the Coogee Oval car park, so the permits would not exist there. The beach, not the resident parking permits as you accepted, but the visitor parking permits.
Thank you, that's very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yep, surprise. So with regarding the various financial modelling, there is going to be a time limit that applies. What will that time limit be through the Mayor to the relevant officer?
Through to the Director of City Services.
Through yourself, Mr. Mayor, we're looking at 4 hours. Except, we've got some restricted short stay parking to try and unmetered to try and support local business, but in terms of the metered parking, 4 hours.
Thank you. Another question. Some councils have recommended a 15-minute. Some council areas, I was just in one the other day that they had a 15 minutes free parking. Will that apply to any of these parking spaces?
Through to the General Manager.
Certainly, Councillor Hay, we can do that. Most of the times that they apply the 15 minutes is around town centres, where it affects business, where people just go very quickly, do their shopping or get a coffee or paper or something to do that. These ones are around the beaches, where it's predominantly more the longer stays for people.
Thank you.
Councillor Hay.
Another question, again, page 49, the financial modelling. Given we have a 4-hour parking limit, if someone has, whether they are a visitor who lives outside Randwick Council and they have paid, or if they are a resident who has a free parking permit, and they park in the spot and they stay more than 4 hours. Firstly, just to confirm that they will have to pay the fine, and secondly, how much will that fine be in the next financial year?
Through to the General Manager.
Mr Mayor, I'll get back to you on how much the fine is, because that's set by the state government. It's not set by the council. The free resident permit means that you can park there for free. You can't stay longer than what the sign actually says. So if a sign says you stay that's for 4 hours, you can stay for 4 hours, but you can stay for free for 4 hours.
Councillor Haig, can I confirm that's everything?
I'll probably have another question, but we can go to Councillor D'Souza.
I've got Councillor Luxford next. No? All right. Councillor D'Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, when I was a mayor like you and the mayors after me, we embraced eye care values. They were very close to us.
Mr. Mayor, question.
And I have the question, but I need to explain before I ask the question, because eye care stands for integrity, customer focus, accountability, respect, and excellence. And in doing so, I asked the communications officer. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir.
Councillor, do we require a brief adjournment? Oh, sorry, I thought there was an episode. Everything's fine? Okay, please.
Could I reiterate those eye care values again, please, sir? And Mr. Brown. Yes, sir. It has everything to do with the question. All I'm doing is integrity, customer focus, accountability, respect, and excellence. So I ask our communications officer and whoever is responsible, do you think this survey, this community survey, was transparent and addressed, those core integrity, customer focus? Do you think we in that survey, please, Mr. Mayor, please, I'm asking you, sir, do you believe that a survey and the concerns that we've received from the general public, do you think our survey satisfied the need to get that information? I know we've had code of conduct, but I've heard residents say to me, this wasn't consultation, Mr. D'Souza. This was a way to get outcomes. So in saying that, please answer my question armed with that knowledge.
Please be seated, Councillor D'Souza. Thank you.
Sorry, sir.
Through to the General Manager.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Yep. Councillor Sid.
Actually, I was just thinking about, I know there's a lot of petitions going around at the moment, Mr. Mayor, and I'm just wondering, in the Code of Meeting Practice, we don't present, we present petitions, I think halfway through the night or towards the end. Will there be an ability, because obviously we can't read those petitions and we won't know what's on them, or we don't know how many people have actually signed them. Will there be a possibility that whoever has organised these petitions will be able to hand them into council beforehand, so we actually have an idea, procedural motion that we can, but what I mean is, I won't have the chance to do procedural motion on the night because it's on the night. I'm just asking, is there a possibility to keep this in all fairness, that there's a possibility they can hand it in the week before and we just somehow we find out the numbers and all that sort of stuff. I'm just wondering if there's a way that we actually find out how many people have signed the petitions, we can see the petitions, or do we actually just go to the people organising the petitions, say please send them to me so I can read them and I want to see who's actually signed them, etc.
Through to the General Manager.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillor, if we receive the petitions, as you know, under the Code of Meeting Practice, it's got to be tabled at the council. It doesn't get debated. I think the best way for this to assist the councillors would be for those people that were organised the petitions to actually send to the councillors.
Sorry, there's a question from Councillor Rosenfeld.
Yes, just regarding on page 49, the indicative compliance-related revenue. My understanding is any fines from rangers, that goes to state revenue. So why would we be tabling that as our revenue? That's my understanding, if I'm incorrect.
Through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, Councillor, that's not what happens. So council rangers will do the fine. It goes to state revenue. State revenue then take a portion of the money, so they take an administration fee, and the remainder comes back to council.
Thank you. I have a hand up from Councillor D'Souza and then Councillor Hay.
Mr Mayor, I remember Shakespeare saying, "This is the winter of our discontent." So my question is, would there be any chance that there seems so much discontent about the survey, etc. Is there any chance we would go back and consult on this matter again? Now that the community are armed with the knowledge and more aware of its consequences, would we do another accountability? That was the A stood for in ICARE. Do you think we would do a survey again to give people peace of mind and move forward on the matter?
Through to the General Manager.
Thanks. So, councillors, just like you resolved in February to go to community consultation, should you decide at the June council meeting we should do another round of consultation, that's purely up to you.
Thank you. I have a question from Councillor Hay.
Yes, when I was in Adelaide, there was an app which had a full, you could see which parking spaces were available, which ones were free. Is there any, this was a couple of years ago, is there any talk of, yes, is there any talk of implementing a similar scheme in this proposal through the Mayor to the Relevant Officer?
To the General Manager.
Yes, irrespective of this particular proposal, as you have been advised, council staff are working on an electronic permit system for resident parking and that. Part of that particular proposal, when we go to tender, can have an app attached to that.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? There being no further questions, that the report be read and noted. All those in favour say aye. Those against, declare that carried. Thank you. There being no further business in the Governance Advisory Committee, I declare the meeting closed. Councillors, before you leave, it is my understanding that there is a social media training which has been organised for councillors.